this feedback we get sometimes, especially when it comes to presenting our own scientific ideas about something like, who the hell do you think you are? Well, I don't really care if you like my scientific idea or not, but the fact that we're even talking about it is really, really good for the world, I think. Because maybe it's not the best idea of the atom or whatever, but at least we're dealing with the issue all of a sudden. And if there's one service that I hope we can provide in this little project we have here, it's to open up discussions about what could be. What are the things that we should be talking about? Because the first step, even to something like the Civil Rights Act, was people talking about it. People getting fired up about what the issue was and brainstorming what the solution set could be.
So what do you think is the role of science in that?
Science is almost a more pure pursuit, which is about understanding nature. It gets really political because everybody wants to have a monopoly on how others view nature. But I personally have little interest in that, and I'm really annoyed by it whenever it sticks its fangs into my side and I want to explore something, but some bigger superstructure is getting in my way. You know, we obviously saw this play out during the COVID thing, which was extremely painful to me from day one, because I saw all of the politicization of it before it happened. I just felt the wave of it coming from the media, right? And it wasn't about the science, and we learned that by teaching the immunology of COVID. We learned that the science papers had nothing to do with the public health messaging, the media messaging. It was just a big conflagration. It was a big fireworks display. So I'm pretty much turned off by all that stuff. It really grosses me out. And I love to do science in the woods. I love to think about nature in a place where I don't have to concern myself with how it's impacting the world.
Do you feel like you have an obligation to the world?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the weird thing about understanding nature, or making art for that matter, is that you do it in isolation away from the rest of the universe. You take all of your experience, you go off somewhere into the woods or into a studio somewhere, and you make something, right? You forge it into some understanding, in the case of science, which you might call a theory. And in the case of, say, art, maybe you forge it into a painting, or you make a musical recording or write a song. But then you bring that back to people at the end of the day. And I think that's my hope. Actually, it's been my overwhelming joy to receive the support of people because they do find that valuable. So we bring all this, we go and talk to all of these scientists, these philosophers, these thinkers, these people at the edge of what's known, and we're bringing that all here. We're bringing it, and we're giving it on. We're handing it over to the rest of the world. And the same thing is true in art. You bring this piece of music, you go to the theater, and you give it to the people. And that's kind of what it's all about for me. That's the best reward in the world, is handing something off to the people. Whether it's uploading one of these podcasts, releasing a song, or playing a show, there's no better cosmic feeling in the world for me than that delivery. What about you?
What was the question?
What gets you jacked up about doing this? I mean, why are you, what's your motivation? Status.
Power.
Dollar bills.
Yes, we're floating in them. I just want things to make sense. I want things to make sense, and then I want to be able to make them better. I really, really believe in making places better than they were when you arrived. And that's not a mentality that I always had. And so it's been a long road to get to the place where I look at the world as being something that I owe something to. And so the art of this podcast is my attempt to make the world better. Because I'm like, look, I can either spend my time kicking the machine and being like, this doesn't work and I don't think that it's right and we're not focused on the right questions, or I can go and I can actually spend time focusing on the questions that I believe are the right questions to be focused on. And luckily I have you with me, and I think that together we have this ability to come at things from totally different directions. Like we have an overarching goal of being able to bring something to people. And by virtue of being able to work together on it with our different approaches to it, we're able to make something that's kind of weird and unique.